losers.
We are called losers.
But the true losers are down there on Wall Street.
But the true losers are down there on Wall Street.
They were bailed out by billions of our money.
They were bailed out by millions of our money.
We are called socialists.
We are called socialists.
But here there already is socialism for the rich.
But here there already is socialism for the rich.
They say we don't respect private property.
They say we don't respect private property.
But in the 2008 financial crashdown, more hard-earned private property was destroyed.
More hard-earned private property was destroyed.
Then if all of us here were to be destroying it night and day for weeks.
Then if all of us here were to be destroying it night and day for weeks.
They tell you we are dreamers.
They tell you we are dreamers.
The true dreamers are those who think
The true dreamers are those who think
things can go on indefinitely the way they are.
things can go on indefinitely the way they are.
We are not dreamers. We are the awakening.
We are the awakening.
From a dream which is turning into a nightmare.
From a dream which is turning into a nightmare.
We are not destroying anything.
We are not destroying anything.
We are only witnessing how the system is destroying itself.
We are only witnessing how the system is destroying itself.
We all know the classic scene from cartoons.
We all know the classic scene from cartoons.
The cat reaches a precipice.
The cat reaches a precipice.
But it goes on walking.
But it goes on walking.
Ignoring the fact that there is nothing beneath its ground.
Ignoring the fact that there is nothing beneath its ground.
Only when it looks down and notices it.
Only when it looks down and notices it.
It falls down.
It falls down.
This is what we are doing here.
This is what we are doing here.
We are telling the guys there on Wall Street.
We are telling the guys there on Wall Street.
Hey, look down.
Hey, look down.
In mid-April 2011.
In mid-April 2011.
The Chinese government prohibited.
The Chinese government prohibited.
On TV, in films and in novels.
On TV, in films and in novels.
All stories that contain alternate reality or time travel.
All stories that contain alternate reality or time travel.
This is a good sign for China.
This is a good sign for China.
It means people still dream about alternatives.
It means that people still dream about alternatives.
So you had to prohibit this dreaming.
So you had to prohibit this dreaming.
Here we don't need a prohibition.
Here we don't need the prohibition.
Because the ruling history has even oppressed our capacity to dream.
Because the ruling history has even oppressed our capacity to dream.
Look at the movies that we see all the time.
Look at the movies that we see all the time.
It's easy to imagine the end of the world.
It's easy to imagine the end of the world.
An asteroid destroying all life and so on.
An asteroid destroying all our life and so on.
But you cannot imagine the end of capitalism.
But you cannot imagine the end of capitalism.
So what are we doing here?
So what are we doing here?
Let me tell you a wonderful old joke from communist times.
Let me tell you a wonderful old joke from communist times.
A guy was sent from East Germany to work in Siberia.
A guy was sent from East Germany to work in Siberia.
He knew his mail will be read by censors.
He knew his mail would be read by censors.
So he told his friends.
So he told his friends.
Let's establish a code.
Let's establish a code.
If a letter you will get from me is written with blue ink, it is true what I say. If it is written in red ink, it is false. After a month, his friends get a first letter. Everything is in blue. It says this letter. Everything is wonderful here. Stores are full of good food. Movie theaters show good films from the West. Apartments are large and luxurious. The only thing you cannot buy is red ink. This is how we live. We have all the freedoms we want. But what we are missing is red ink. The language to articulate our non-freedom. The way we are taught to speak about freedom. War on terror and so on. Falsifies freedom. And this is what you are doing here. You are giving all of us red ink. There is a danger. Don't fall in love with yourselves. We have a nice time here. But remember, carnivals come cheap. What matters is the day after. When we will have to return to normal lives. Will there be any changes then? I don't want you to remember these days. You know, like, oh, we were young, it was beautiful. Remember that our basic message is we are allowed to think about alternatives. The taboo is broken. We do not live in the best possible world. But there is a long road ahead. There are truly difficult questions that confront us. We know what we do not want. But what do we want? What social organization can replace capitalism? What type of new leaders do we want? Remember, the problem is not corruption or greed.
The problem is not corruption or greed.
The problem is the system.
The problem is the system.
Which pushes you to be corrupt.
Which pushes you to be corrupt.
Beware not only of the enemies.
Beware not only of the enemies.
But also of false friends.
But also of false friends.
Who are already working to dilute this protest. In the same way you get coffee without caffeine. Beer without alcohol. Ice cream without fat. They will try to make this into a harmless moral protest. A decaffeinated process. But the reason we are here
But the reason we are here
is that we have enough of a world
is that we have enough of a world
where to recycle Coke cans,
where to recycle Coke cans,
to give a couple of dollars for charity,
to give a couple of dollars for charity,
or to buy a Starbucks cappuccino,
or to buy a Starbucks cappuccino,
where 1% goes for third world starving children,
where 1% goes to third world starving children,
is enough to make us feel good.
is enough to make us feel good.
After outsourcing work and torture,
After outsourcing work and torture,
after the marriage agencies are now outsourcing even our love life, dating,
after marriage
after the marriage agencies, okay,
the marriage agencies are outsourcing
even our love life.
even our love life.
Mic check! Mic check! Sorry?
Mic check!
Mic check!
We can see that for a long time
We can see that for a long time
we allowed our political engagement also to be outsourced.
we allowed our political engagement also to be outsourced.
We want it back.
We want it back.
We are not communists.
We are not communists.
If communism means the system
If communism means the system
which collapsed in 1990,
which collapsed in 1990,
remember that today
remember that today
those communists
those communists
are the most efficient, ruthless capitalists.
are the most efficient, ruthless capitalists.
In China today,
In China today,
we have capitalism
we have capitalism
which is even more dynamic than your American capitalism,
which is even more dynamic than your American capitalism,
but doesn't need democracy.
but doesn't need democracy.
Which means
Which means
when you criticize capitalism,
when you criticize capitalism,
don't allow yourself to be blackmailed,
don't allow yourself to be blackmailed,
that you are against democracy.
that you are against democracy.
The marriage between democracy and capitalism is over.
The marriage between democracy and capitalism is over.
The change is possible.
The change is possible.
How? What do we consider today possible?
What do we consider today possible?
Just follow the media.
Just follow the media.
On the one hand,
On the one hand,
in technology and sexuality,
in technology and sexuality,
everything seems to be possible.
everything seems to be possible.
You can travel to the moon,
You can travel to the moon.
you can become immortal
You can become immortal
by biogenetics,
by biogenetics.
you can have sex with animals or whatever,
You can have sex with animals or whatever.
but look at the field of society and economy.
But look at the field of society and economy.
There, almost anything is considered impossible.
There, almost anything is considered impossible.
You want to raise taxes a little bit for the rich,
You want to raise taxes a little bit for the rich.
they tell you it's impossible.
They tell you it's impossible.
We lose competitivity.
We lose competitivity.
You want more money for healthcare,
You want more money for healthcare.
they tell you impossible, this means totalitarian state.
They tell you impossible. This means totalitarian state.
Isn't it something wrong in the world
Isn't it something wrong in the world
where you are promised to be immortal,
where you are promised to be immortal,
but cannot spend a little bit more for healthcare?
but cannot spend a little bit more for healthcare?
Maybe we just need to set our priorities straight here.
Maybe we should set our priorities straight here.
We don't want higher standard of living.
We don't want a higher standard of living.
We want better standard of living.
We want a better standard of living.